All right. Adriana from Jacksonville, thanks for being here.
Hey,
All right,
Reid.
everybody. So we're going to be getting started in 1 minute. So just a couple things to go over before we get started. So for those of you that are just joining us, first thing you want to do is go ahead and adjust to all panelists and attendees. My name is Hector Verdugo. I'm the Senior Vice President of Admissions. I'm going to be helping out here in the chat. Reid Raukar is our Senior Director of Admissions. He's going to be the star of the show tonight, and he's going to be your host. We can only take your questions in the chat, so please feel free to interact in the chat. I'll be mining those questions and trying to send them over to Reid here. I guarantee you, if you pay attention and listen, he's going to answer a lot of your questions up front. Another thing that I wanted to make sure that we do is put my information as well as Reid's information in the chat. So if you're looking at joining the school or you have questions, you'd like to set up a time to talk, you can email either one of us and we're more than happy to get back to you. We're going to go ahead and get started here. And I'm going to go hand it off to Reid Raukar here, our Senior Director of Admissions, to get the show started. So I'll see you all in the chat, everybody.
All right, welcome everyone. Very excited for you to join us. So tonight is the Spring Show online webinar event. What this really is a chance for us as a University Academy of Art to showcase one of our biggest and best events of the year. So what we do is every year, following the conclusion of the spring semester, right near the end, we have a huge event called the Spring Show. And what this event is an opportunity to get our best student work from every department showcased to industry professionals and, of course, the students' friends and family. So what we do is this event is usually hosted at our Gerald location, but even in the past, we've rented out other venues like Cal Palace, the Palace of the Fine Arts, and in recent events, our Gerald location has been host to over 700 types of student work. And this event welcomes thousands of industry professionals from all different fields of art and design to meet with students right there personally, one-on-one. We're doing everything from meet and greets to portfolio reviews, where industry professionals are able to actually give that feedback directly. And we're able to actually set up these networking events that lead to students being offered jobs right on the spot, or even internship opportunities depending on their level in school. So this event, it is not reserved just for graduating seniors like some schools where you'll see that the senior class, all the projects get showcased. It is literally best of the best. So students have to apply to have their work approved by the department. And we're talking students that are sophomores, juniors, seniors, graduate, undergraduate, can all have work showcased if it meets the department's expectations. So it's been one of our most incredible events year in year. And what's unique about the last couple of years is COVID happened. And for a lot of schools, including ours, that caused us to make a lot of adjustments on the fly. So those adjustments have actually led to some really amazing additions to the Spring Show. Normally, this event was this massive on-site, in-person event. Students, even online that had work showcased, would come from all over the world and the country. They'd stay in San Francisco for a couple nights while their work's being shown. Their family and friends might come out. And this was normally set up as one of their biggest events during their time here as a student. So because of COVID, we had to really adjust in 2020. We had to very quickly come up with an alternative solution. And that solution was to be able to house this event in an online forum where we're able to give students more reach, if that makes sense. They're now able to have their work presented in this amazing location where potential employers, other students, other industry professionals could go check out the projects they're working on. And they have access to setting up their contact information right there so they can be contacted for job opportunities, project opportunities, and things of that nature. So the really cool part is in 2022, we fully expect to be back to this amazing in-person event. But what we also see is that we're going to have this online component built into it forever moving forward. So today I'd like to share with everyone our 2021 spring show. And so you can really get an idea of everything our students are doing at the highest level. And I'm going to show you some different programs, some different student work, some of the things that make our school unique, and ultimately show you what makes us special as a university and what makes our students so incredible. Now, at the very end, I'm going to definitely be available for a Q&A. So if any questions come up along the way, I tell you, feel free to put them in the chat pod, but if they're a little more complex or complicated, I will be addressing those later, but Hector might be able to answer your questions right in the chat pod. But for anything that we don't answer along the way, please write it down. And at the very end, bring that question back to me, and I'm happy to answer it at that point. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I'd like to start by showing a video so you could visualize what the Spring Show event is like when we're in person. So without further ado, just wanted to make sure I was optimizing all my sharing.
The Spring Show is the representation of all our very best student work from each academic department at the university.
All of the different schools of the university. We get to see all of their output at once, and the output's tremendous. You have these individual schools that tend to operate with blinders on for a lot of the time, but when they all come together and you can see everything from sculpture to jewelry to interior design, architecture, it's fantastic to see everything come together.
One of the most exciting parts about the Spring Show is something called Industry Day. And what we do at the Academy of Art University is we fly in industry professionals from all over the country to look at student work. This is one of our industry professionals, Dave Markowitz, and he's got some really cool things to tell you.
Hi, I'm Dave Markowitz. I'm the lead animator at Jam City. I come to the Spring Show every year. There's such a diverse skill set that's here that I haven't seen in any other school. So every year is something changing, something new. It just blows my mind how creative everybody is here.
The Spring Show is the single most important day of our year. It's an opportunity for our students to meet the industry in a low-impact setting, and it allows them to kind of sharpen what it is that they say about themselves and how they present themselves. We're very happy to be releasing another flock into the wild. Happy to have industry come in, initiate them into the professional community. It's always a really fun day.
So I hope that gave everyone a really good sense of what the Spring Show event's like live and in person. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you what the Spring Show event looked like in 2020 and 2021 this year from the online perspective. So how do we promote this amazing student work in an online setting? And let's take a look at what that's going to look like moving forward. So if we go to springshow.academyart.edu, this will take you to our most recent Spring Show event. And one of the things we love about this is that now all the student work is housed in one universal place. And I'm going to go through this. I'm going to circle back down, then I'm going to swing back up to the top. I just want to show everyone how to navigate this because I really encourage all of you. Check it out. If you're an art and designer, if you love art, if you're an artist in any of these areas, I think you're going to find the work our students are doing to be just incredible. So let's go to the top real quick. I want to show you a little bit about the navigation and what that layout looks like. So you can see I could go to any of our different programs. Right now we have 22 unique programs. And within those programs, we actually have multiple areas that students can specialize in. A really good example is if you're going into the animation program, you wouldn't be going into just animation. It's not some general capture-all degree. We would want to work with students along the way. They take a couple of classes in that first semester that focus on foundational skills that all the different areas utilize and rely on. But what we'd want to help students decide is, are you a traditional animator? Do you want to do storyboard art? Do you want to do 3D modeling? Do you want to do 3D animation? Or do you see yourself doing visual effects? So there's so many unique areas to focus in within all these majors that it could get pretty incredible and very specific. And that's what the portfolios really tend to show. Now, one of the really cool things, we have specialty galleries, so our collaborative projects. That's projects that happen between programs. The fine art gallery, the game development gallery, games that you could actually play, and many others. And then you could also see our past spring shows. So now let's go down and take a look at some of this early work. So one of the things I like to start with is actually all the way down to the bottom. So we could check out where things are happening, where our actual student work comes from. We could see the different schools and the programs. We could see featured artists, so some of the award-winning artists or some of the projects that we really highlighted. And then we could see collaborative projects. So one of the things I'm going to come back to is each of these sections. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about foundations. So our school has what's called an open admissions policy. We are one of the few art schools out there that do not require a portfolio for students to join our school. You do have to have completed high school to join an undergraduate program, and you do have to be passionate and ready to work very hard. But we teach these foundational skills from the very beginning for many of our hand-skilled programs. So think about art-based programs like fine arts, illustrations. I want to do game concept art. I want to do animation, traditional art, and things of this nature. Well, these classes are first-year classes. So although the spring show is going to show more advanced projects overall, we like to highlight the best work from our early classes. So what you're seeing here, a portrait, is coming from Foundations 110, Analysis of Form. This is one of the finals for Analysis of Form B. The still life is coming from Analysis of Form as well. This is one of the earliest classes students take in our university. Figure drawing is also one of our earliest classes. So you can see the figure drawing, studying the human form, the movement. You can see again, analysis of form. And one of the amazing things about the work all of you are seeing, this is work from 2021 submission. So that means all of this work either took place strictly in the online environment or through the Zoom classes. So this work isn't coming from on-site in the traditional sense. These classes were either online or done in Zoom. Now this class, the perspective class, is extremely challenging. That one's going to be a few semesters into most of these programs, and only your more intensive drawing majors are going to take this, like your storyboard artists, your visual developers, your traditional animators, your illustrators, things of that nature. Now, one thing I like to show is the color and design. So what you're seeing here is there's two different color classes depending on your major that you may take. One's called Color Fundamentals, which is an all digital version. So that's going to be everything's done in Photoshop and exploring color theory. And then the other one is going to be Color and Design, which is all gouache watercolor painting. So brand new skills to learn there. But I think it's pretty incredible to just see the work students are creating early on in the program. We're talking about this is a first semester class, and this is a second semester class, these three here. So this is right out of the gates in the first year, students are already learning these skills. And that's the thing, art, like anything, is something, a skill to be learned. Now, collaborative projects, this is projects that take place between multiple departments. And that's one of the unique things about our school is that we have the resources and the skills between our departments to bring any project to life, from concept to finished project. Now, one thing I'd love to show is just taking a look at maybe one of our group projects. We could take a look at the Audi project. And what I love about these collaborative projects, it talks about what the idea was. It was an integrated campaign. Many of these projects, when you see a brand like Audi, they're oftentimes sponsored collaborative projects. The Audi brand is coming to us saying, we want to bring this project to life. You know, we've worked with Jaguar, BMW, Ghirardelli, and many other giant companies to bring real projects to life. So what is it? They want to build a prospective website and custom interface for Audi in the year 2050. They want to get creative and think outside the box. Now, look at the team that came together on this. We have a student focused on user experience and motion graphics. We have an architecture student. We have a fashion designer. We have another fashion designer, and we have a graphic designer. And then the student who put this all together was a web design and new media student. So these are all the different areas that came together with this web design new media student to help build this collaborative project. And that's one of the things that brings these projects to a very real and professional level. And what we're really trying to do with these collaborative projects is mimic what it is like in these industries. Because in these industries, there's no one person working on these mega projects. It's people from many backgrounds with varied levels of experience and expertise, and they're coming together to put together these comprehensive projects. So now let's jump back. And this is an idea of how many collaborative projects were taking place. And there's others that took place, but these are the ones that we highlight. And they're across so many different areas. You know, web design, we have advertising, architecture and landscape architecture, you know, graphic design and things of this nature. Now we come up and we can look at some of the individual work here. So we talk a little bit about the departments that are highlighted. So where are the different schools? We have 22 different schools, 72 areas of study, and 129 degrees. So the school is fully accredited regionally and nationally. All programs are regionally accredited. Some don't have national accreditation because they wouldn't need that per se. But what you're really looking for is, does your school have regional accreditation? That's the single most important. That's what you're going to find is the common theme at schools like Berkeley, Stanford, UC Davis, Cal Poly. That regional accreditation that those universities have is the same accreditation that we have. Now, let's take a look at architecture, for example. I think this is a really popular major and for good reason. And what's really cool is you could look at the different degree levels. So I could look at undergraduate projects and I could look at graduate projects. And let's just take a look at one of these students' projects. So one of the things I love about it, the student's able to say, they show their name, what degree or which area they were focused in. This student actually won the architecture prize for outstanding thesis. And you can see he has his contact information. So all students have an option to contact them unless they specifically requested not to. And then you'll see varying levels of extra info here. I've seen students list their portfolios. They list additional contacts. They list their Instagram, their LinkedIn, and other areas. But as you scroll down, you could see the student's huge project that he worked on. And he actually goes into detail about what was his Master of Architecture thesis. And you can see the level of detail that's going into this. Now, everything you're seeing here is student created. They're learning to do all of these digital renderings. They're using software like 3ds Max, Rhino, CAD, BIM. And they're able to develop not only these amazing hand models, but they're able to sketch through these concepts, actually use the correct understanding of grading and scale, understanding the environment that they're looking at, using these amazing digital renderings to bring their vision to life. And this is what really separates, especially like our architecture, interior architecture, and landscape architecture students. It's this level of detailed conceptual digital work that really separates them. When they get into the industry, this is the work that some of the people have been architects or landscape architects for 30 years. They don't have digital skills to this level. So these students are really able to bring an entire project to life. And when you're looking at projects of this scale, you're talking about projects that cost $100, $200, $300 million or more. And they're able to really showcase from start to finish what this would look like to a client. But even more importantly, the way they're building these isn't just a concept, it's built to scale, it's built with engineering in mind. So when the engineer takes over, they say, yes, this is actually doable. It's possible to create this project. So we jump back there. Now that's looking at just the architecture and the fashion, but I think the big thing to understand here is I would encourage all of you to come here and actually look at these, take a look at the programs that you're looking at. You know, we go to fashion, we could see the School of Fashion talks about the skills that are leading their students getting jobs. I could filter by the different areas of fashion. You know, do I want to look at students' design projects? Do I want to look at styling, the footwear and accessory design program? And I think Angel Roman, what I loved about his, you could see he has his resume available for download. But what I loved about Angel's project here, you know, he's got a mask, first of all. I think that was a big thing for fashion students to get involved. A lot of our university and our fashion program actually did a lot of masks that they donated to the hospitals in early COVID there. But what I like about his is it shows a lot of his design process and how much he's learning along the way. Textiles, materials, the fabrics, the different types of skills he'd use. Now, this is going from hand sketches to the actual digital work here and kind of combining it all. And these hand sketching fashion students take multiple levels of fashion drawing classes along the way. And you can see it's unique style. The way fashion students draw is not the same as the way illustration draws, the way fine artists draw, the way that a visual developer draws. And you can actually see their distinct differences in style. But if you look, it's such a robust portfolio. And what I want everyone to take away from this is what we love to highlight here and what real industry is looking for is process. They want to see your design process from your concepts to your thinking, to your sketching, to your actual execution. So from the drawing to the digital renderings to the actual project, how does it all come together? You know, and more importantly, is there a real message or a theme or a purpose behind it? What is inspiring these projects? And is that inspiration and that vision actually being realized in the final product? But just look how robust this is. He's able to upload this entire portfolio top to bottom. And you really start to see their style, their vision, and what they're trying to bring to life when it comes to a collection. And that's what's so incredible. A lot of materials, a lot of swatches, a lot of understanding of the textiles, the different color patterns that can be utilized. And then when you see these clothes on an actual person on the runway, that's when you really say this person's vision was realized from start to finish. And you can see the growth of that vision through their process. And even they have these videos talking all about their process and highlighting them. So a lot of really great things here. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the other work that's on display. So when we talk about the different departments, the things that make them unique, I think being able to see these students work and even hearing the students talk about their work is so important. So one of the programs I love is the animation and visual effects program. And one of the things that makes this school so unique when it comes to animation and visual effects, they actually are utilizing the entire studio experience. What they call it is Studio X. And what animation is trying to help students realize is the experience they would have in a real animation studio. So if you went to work at Disney, Pixar, Industrial Light and Magic, what would that experience be? And that's really what they're talking about. They're saying, hey, Studio X is the way our students are going to master the real skills that are used in the real workplace. And through a variety of animation, they got storyboard, traditional, 3D animation, 3D modeling, and visual effects. When you really look at the work and you see it top to bottom, you start to see that they're getting this full experience from concept to finished playable animation scene. And they're able to make entire short movies through these Studio X collaborative projects. And one of the things that makes the animation department unique they have what's called Fat Tuesdays. That's feature animation training. So that's one of the days reserved for this industry level training. A ton of our faculty have worked at Disney, Pixar, Industrial Light and Magic. That's just a fact. But what makes Fat Tuesday so special is we really do try to get not just industry professionals teaching these classes on Tuesdays, but we try to get people who are still active in the industry. So they're only able to teach once a week because they're busy actually working in the industry. And we're trying to get them when they've been alumni. So it's really kind of this cool full circle things. There were prior students here that are now alumni, and they're working at Pixar, Industrial Light and Magic. And that makes up a big part of our faculty on Fat Tuesdays. They're currently in the industry, so they're not full-time instructors, but they're able to teach that class. You know what else it turns into? An amazing event for hiring students. So let's take a look at this student's work. I love this student's work in general, and so I hope everyone thought that was pretty cool. One of the things I love about that video is it shows that process. It kind of gives you an idea of what animation is, the different areas within it. But what's really important is that the students here, and this is true for every major, what they're really learning here is all of the skills and the technology needed to immediately make an impact at these companies. So if I'm a modeler, I'm learning how to do the exact skills within modeling. And I'm using the exact same software, Maya and ZBrush, as they're using in the industry. So when I get into those jobs and I actually do land the gig at Pixar or Disney, they immediately can make an impact and need little to no training. They could just start working in the role and working on specific projects. Now, another really cool thing I love to highlight is the School of Game Development. One of the biggest things is the way at the School of Game Development, they're able to collaborate. So we go from the concept of a game to a finished playable game. And some of the ways we do that, we have a lot of areas within the game design degree that focus in those different aspects. So game development has a game design degree, the person kind of thinking of the basics of that gameplay, how the user experience would be, and how they're going to go through those levels. The game programmer is very much the technical person, the coding and the scripting. The concept artist is the most conceptual, right? They're the one doing that pre-game art, that concept art for both character and environments. And then you got the 3D art, which is really your modeling. So you think about 3D modeling of environments, the 3D modeling of characters, all happening through Maya. Now, what's so cool is that these games go from actual concept to real playable games. So we have 3 different games that students can play at any time that are fully built by students in-house. This is from concept to finished product. And then you got to remember, so much goes into these games. Take Space Cat Pirates. It's a 1-button hack and slash game through roguelike elements. Now, here's all the people that participated in this. You have a level designer, someone that did the enemy designing and the script, someone that did the game designer, worked out all the bugs, someone that was the concept art lead, so the person who had the main vision and kind of moved people through that process. 2 different concept artists from the illustration department, a concept artist, 2 of those from the game development department, a lot of UI and UX artists. We have someone doing the music, so the actual score of this game, and many of our games here is completely built in-house by our music students. Our music students are also doing the sound effects. When you hear a sword swoosh or a foot actually patter on the ground, that is a sound effect made by a music student. So what I love about this is you're seeing how many people it can take to even create a small level game. And then some of these other games don't take as big of teams, but you're still looking at a 4-man and a 3-man team to get these things kicked off. So let's take a look, see what it looks like, kind of play with it a little bit. I tried it a little bit. I wasn't too great at it. In fairness, I'm not a big video gamer. So you can see this was made on Unity. So all of our games are being made with Unity and Unreal. All of our assets, the models that you see are being made in things like Maya. So all of these things are happening in the same place that you would see a game. So this was all from concept to finish. This is student built. And this was so cool about the school. How you do a tutorial, start settings. I'm gonna just start hacking around, see like anything happen. So it's simple, right? It's just made, oh no, I died already. So bad. Many of you are out there and just watching and just disgusted by how bad I am. I understand. Oh yeah, get it. Oh, gotta time it a little better. So kind of cool though, just to see how simple it is. They're creating the games, but it's also just the concept, working through from concept, working on full-fledged projects, not just little pieces. You start in those early years learning the foundations. You learn Maya, you learn the 2D art, you learn how to utilize Photoshop layers, how to actually UV map, unwrap objects, rewrap. All of this stuff happens early on, but it all comes together so that when you start to specialize in an area, you're able to create these full-fledged games. And that's what I think is so cool. And then additionally, the game development department has all these cool sub areas of focus. They have things like esports that are just starting to get huge. We do have an esport team that competes in competition. So that's pretty incredible. But my favorite part of the school has always been playing these games every year and seeing what students are doing and seeing their student work top to bottom. Oh, this is kind of funny. Even this student right here is actually a student that I worked with a couple years back and helped sign up for school. So every year, no joke, I come here and, I haven't worked with students as often as I used to, but I'm going to circle back to look at Ashley's work and kind of see, but you can see she's doing a whole breakdown of how she built this model, but kind of crazy to see. But every year I'm surprised I get in here and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a student I actually worked with extensively and they got to be close to graduating now. So pretty fun to just see that stuff there. Now, one other thing I want to show is just kind of talking about industrial design. I think this is a really great project as well. And more importantly, I got a really great video to show everyone about what does a portfolio review look like at a spring show. But what I thought was incredible about this person's portfolio, they just have this really interactive and exciting piece. So they talk about they start introducing themselves. They talk about their product. They're trying to build an intelligent smoke detector. So current ones only detect smoke or fire that has already happened. This is able to predict a fire that's going to happen. Almost feels like Minority Report, right? Predicting crimes before they happen. So resume, again, their actual portfolio, contact them. But you could see how they build this out from concept to the way they would market. So industrial design isn't just about the ability to build a product. It's about the ability to show that there's a need for the product, that the product has a actual demographic that can target. And what that's called is proof of concept. Not just do I have a good idea for a product, but is that product even needed or relevant? So they're talking about all the different ways it works. They have this cool little GIF of it happening. They're talking about how it'll sync up with a phone. So there's so many, and then here's really cool because you could see the ideation of this product. So all the sketching and different models that the person was working on until they were able to finalize their actual finished product. Break, learn, make, test. So check it out. This person, these are real things that these students are building. They're doing model after model. They're seeing what's really practical, not just an idea, but is it practical? Can it work? Is it feasible? So pretty cool to see that students work. I love industrial design. And so our industrial design department, they have two main areas of focus, product design or transportation design. So everyone loves the cars. Cars are actually very specialized though, but it could be trains, bicycles, airplanes, cars, yachts, boats, everything. But for product, I always like to highlight that product is really all around us. Look at your smartphone in front of you, look at the computer you're on now, look at the desk or the space you're sitting in, and just look at all the products, the chair you're sitting in, the desk in front of you. These are all real products that fall under industrial design, and they're everywhere in the world around us. And within industrial design, you could also focus on furniture design, a little more niche, and you could focus on toy design, which is also a little more niche. I'd say product design is the most popular, and then transportation design is also a very large area of focus. Now, I want you all to see what this actually looks like when a student is able to highlight their product. So let's see, I think there's a video in here for their product. And if not, then
Three, two, one.
Here we go!
So for that video, you can tell this student is not your motion picture television student, but just shows that diverse skill set, right? They're making this from their sketching to their marketing work, to the way they're syncing it up with applications, to the way they're able to create those models so you could even pull it apart, all the way to the video showing the person driving away. And now, again, they aren't the film students. This is showing their concepts and how they would market them. And that's what's so unique. If something like this gets picked up by a company like Samsung or a company like Google, then this person's going to have the funding to make the marketing really click with it. Now, if we come back here, what I really wanted to show everyone was just a sense of what's happening when it comes to a portfolio review. So give me one sec, bear with my desktop here.
I'm your AstroBee host, your virtual assistant here on the ISS. I'm a multifunctional robot with different personas. Here are two others you need to meet.
That this is based on?
So some of it were the noise. As you can see, at one point we put some background noise, and then we show how we're trying to solve it with noise cancellation, for instance.
Interesting design. And my question is, like, you've been talking about, I think, blending into the nature, but you have like geometric straight lines.
And normally teardrop trailer has a lot of curving line. So I was thinking, like, if I go with the straight line, it will be different.
some, really subtle little details in changing the degrees and the MMs to make the user experience that much better.
So I went into that direction of simplifying the form of the foot and the shoe just to fit that more performance-based aspect.
Really nice sketch language. You definitely have a fantastic illustration background. I love the matte painting and the feeling, the ambiance of the sketches.
It's great to be here to see so many former students of ours that we went through the early stage of our development of the program, and now you guys are here judging it and making great comments and observations. I really appreciate it, how you guys progressed after the school. And, this is what the whole community is all about. And more we get those you guys back, our program strength's going to be increased.
All right, everyone. So I hope everyone enjoyed an overview of our spring show event. And more importantly, you get a sense of what it's been like during COVID in this online format. But it's one of those things where the in-person events are so incredible. There's no perfect replacement. But now that we've expanded how we really market it and do this online component, this is never going away. This is one of the coolest things, is to be able to have the work housed in such a sleek an accessible area. And for our potential students, our current students, and people just considering the school, to be able to go there and actually see the student work and see what kind of work these students really are doing, because it's spectacular. And most of this, if not all of it, is truly industry level and really at that highest level. So I'm going to open the floor to any questions that we might have had, and anything that anyone has that they think I could help them with, because today's all about helping each and every one of you explore the school and to highlight how amazing our students really are. I see someone's posted, I see a couple questions about, there's cinema, like asking about degree and curriculum information, which is excellent. So I would tell you, Hector said, hey, just send me an email. I'd say I wouldn't go into all the classes for the programs right now, but the classes and the way we build our curriculum really is unique compared to other schools. What I love about our school's curriculum is this scaffolding design. We lay this really firm foundation, and then we constantly are building upon it. So there's not like an introductory class across the way and you take a bunch of those to just say, now I've earned a degree. It's, if you're an illustrator, you take all these foundation classes, you take analysis of form, figure drawing, perspective, color and design. But then you're also taking digital media 1, digital media 2, digital media 3. So you're really using Photoshop as a high level skill set. And then you're taking clothed figure 1, clothed figure 2, digital clothed figure. You're taking animal anatomy, you're taking human anatomy. So all these really amazing classes are going to build this extremely high skill set. Someone said, do we get to choose our classes or do we get those assigned based on the major? So anyone entering a degree seeking program would need to be able to follow that degree. So if you're coming in with a really high skill set, you've done this work before, you would probably be a good fit to submit a portfolio so we could either transfer in credit from other schools or waive some of those early classes if they're not needed. But if you're entering a degree, the curriculum has been built in a way that it is very structured. And there is opportunities for what's called art elective classes, kind of free choices, and some major by advisement classes, but those are going to be later in the degree when you've already started to build this foundation. Someone said, I could look through the spring show links, but I'm curious, what do the game programmers show? I'd have to dive in and take a look at the game programmers. I'm sure their portfolios aren't the coolest looking because it's very technical. You got to remember that's going to be one of our most technical programs. Those students are doing all the coding and kind of keeping the concept artists, the game designers, the modelers in check. So the game programmers are going to work very closely with the game designers to really code, script, and make sure everything can really actually work. I'm sure that along the way, there's a lot of very ambitious people. I go, this is what I want. And the game programmer goes, well, this is the reality of what can be done. So they're kind of the ones that bring people back down to earth. but also really make the whole insides for it to tick. Someone said for our future game developers for the fall, well, we have the opportunity to take advantage of the tech on campus. So absolutely, we actually right now have some on-site classes being offered. Now, right now we're doing a limited on-site offering for the fall 2021 semester, but we do expect to be back to a very robust offering by spring of 2022. But for the fall, we're offering 3 modes of learning: traditional online, Zoom classes, which you could be anywhere in the world, but you got to log into Zoom like this at the set time that class is taught every week. So it's kind of like a hybrid model. And then traditional on-site classes are being offered. Those classes are filling up quickly, and we won't have as many offerings nearly as we have in past years. But that's because it's kind of winding back from COVID. California even had more restrictions in place because of COVID, city of San Francisco. But all of our tech is going to be available. We are going to have options for students that are even online or local, but not planning to even take an on-site class. There are going to be standalone fees for students enrolled to utilize labs and the technology, and I highly encourage it. Someone said the foundations or the entry-level classes for more advanced classes. Yes and no. Foundation level classes are not taken by every major. So one thing I look at a lot of curriculum for transfer schools, transfer agreements, stuff like that. One thing I noticed I always thought was kind of weird is at other art schools, there's a lot of times these foundation classes, these 4 or 5 classes, but everybody takes them. Doesn't matter what major you are, which really doesn't make sense. Why would a film student be taking a drawing class? You know, it's okay to take a drawing class, but why would the film student take the same drawing class as the illustrator? They are going to develop extremely different skill sets in their time in art school, or at least they should. The foundations they develop should be different. So for us, the foundations may be a part of your program as an undergraduate student. A graduate program does not have foundation classes, but they have classes built into each degree that offer students a good jumpstart into those programs. Someone said, what is the average age of the student? I wouldn't actually know that info off the top of my head. Someone said, is it all in one place or are there different school locations? So we do have different locations, but it's not necessarily based on major. We're located in San Francisco, California. We have what's called an urban campus. We actually have 40 buildings located in San Francisco, and they range from down on Brannan, which is kind of by the AT&T Park, all the way up to Fisherman's Wharf. And we have our own shuttle system that connects everything. But for our university, it's not necessarily each major has their own building. Some share buildings, some have multiple locations depending on the classes they're teaching or the resources. But some buildings do have their own majors within them, and that's kind of where they reside. What will online classes be like post-COVID? Well, we've actually been doing traditional online classes where it's the class opens, class closes, it's all through online format, like in the traditional sense, no Zoom meetings. We've been doing that for 20 years now. So we have to be one of the leaders, if not the leader, in online art and design education. And we actually create all of our content custom in-house. So this isn't like, hey, go to YouTube and learn this or go to lynda.com. Everything is built by our faculty right here in-house. So the online isn't going to change. It's only going to get better. I could see for the future of it, we incorporate more Zoom options, Zoom meetings, things of that nature into future online classes. But I don't know how long the Zoom classes will be around. That was unique because of COVID. Once we're fully back on site, I think we might have some limited offerings, but I don't see a future where every major has multiple Zoom classes for all time. So it's kind of a unique window here. Someone said, I saw there was 2 parts of the master's in architecture. I wouldn't go into those details. That's a better question for an admissions rep than for a chat like this. It is something you will want to go into detail with. They're based on what level of experience you have prior, for which degree would be better. And the Master of Architecture versus the MA have some very specific differences. So much better question though for an admissions rep. If I'm transferring from SF Film School, where are the odds most of my classes will transfer over? Great question. If you're transferring from another film school, we would look at what's called liberal art classes or general education based on your transcript. So we look at your transcripts from your school and see what does and doesn't match up. We make sure the grades match up. And then for the art-based classes, not only do we look at transcripts, but students have to submit a portfolio where they describe their work, their projects, their skills, and then our department can determine which classes match up from your past school to our school. So that's another great question for your admissions representative, and you'll need to be working very closely with them on a portfolio submissions. Someone said, can architecture students excel in the program as an online student? So I would tell you, we were the first school to ever gain full NAB accreditation for online. And one of the reasons NAB, which is the accrediting body for all architecture schools, the reason they were so worried about it is because they thought that studio experience couldn't be replicated. And one of the things we did to show them proof of concept or proof of student work was to actually set up on-site and online student work in the same room. And it was up to them to say, can you tell it apart? And that's one of the most amazing things. I remember hearing that story and saying, wow, they couldn't tell the work apart. So at that point, they said, it really is just the same level and quality. But one of the things to remember, look at all those 2021 Spring Show student projects from architecture, interior architecture, landscape, and you'll see right there, it is incredible. And all of that stuff was done online or in Zoom classes. So, and I tell you, a majority of it was just flat out online. Will all degrees be available online? Most are available online. Like a good example of one that's not available online, the School of Acting. You can't really do acting online, but you could do motion picture and television or the writing for television, film, and digital media. Someone said, if we take the online classes, can we use the same tech as those in person? So anyone that's an online student, you're not located local where you could come on campus, use the labs or anything, you would need to eventually start purchasing this material outside of the school. You need to get computers, software, things like that. Now there's a ton of things that come free, like the Adobe Creative Cloud's free to registered students. Microsoft Office is free, so that's Microsoft 365, which is like Excel, Office, all those things that come with it. But a lot of the software you're going to need to get on your end. Now there's heavy student discounts for a lot of software out there, and that's where we direct students to. But the idea is that over time, you're buying the equipment, the hardware, the software, that you actually have a studio in your own home, similar to how it would be for an actual animator and things of that nature. Someone said, for a character design class, it will teach me everything from revisiting basics to technical skills at the master degree level. Yeah, you'll take a mixture of classes. You'll take some game concept art based classes to the illustration classes that all work together to teach you the varying skills that you would need to truly gain those skills within concept art. Someone said, how do class times and schedules work? So that's a two-part question. If you're on site, it is like a traditional school in the sense that your class might be Monday, 9 to noon. Your class might be Tuesday, 8 to 1. Class times can vary. There's a 3-hour window, and I think the other one's 4 hour, 45 minutes, depending on the class. But that being said, if you're a traditional online student, that also is similar where it's, hey, classes open Monday, they close Sunday, just boom, boom. But if you're really looking at specific schedules and you're trying to get everything in order, we would have you work with your admissions representative to make sure not only your workload aligns with your life, but that the classes and the way they're being taught align with how you're going to thrive. Someone said, I also heard some of Pixar's artists visit and teach classes sometimes. Yeah, that's one of those things I was talking about on the animation page it's called Fat Tuesdays, Feature Animation Training. So what that is it's actually industry professionals. And we have plenty of faculty that are full-time that have done Disney, ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, and Pixar. And I mean, these are people that Diana Coco Russell, I had lunch with her when I was like here for a week. And, you know, she's telling me, oh yeah, I did, Scar and all the hyenas and Lion King. And I did Jafar and Aladdin. She's the artist that sketched all of these villains for years. And I'm seeing her like jaw on the floor, like, oh my God, I love Lion King. It's my favorite. And I'm like starstruck, 6-7 years ago, having lunch with her. And for her, it's just, that's her job. That's what she loves to do. And she doesn't think anything so special about it. I'm seeing her awestruck. But yes, they're from Pixar and Industrial Light and Magic. And the really cool thing that I love about the Fat Tuesdays is they really are making an effort to not just get these industry professionals that are current in the industry. So they're only teaching that one class because they're actually busy, right? They're like, I work, I have projects I'm doing, but they're actually oftentimes alumni. So it's kind of that full circle, right? They went to school here, they graduated, they went to work at one of these mega companies, and now they're back teaching. And a lot of times they're back not just teaching, but they're headhunting. They're like, hey, that student, I want you to call me when this class is over because I got an internship for you this summer. You're working your butt off. I love your talent. I love your attitude. So someone said, can people sign up for the major they have little experience in? And Hector answered this, but absolutely. We have people sign up all the time. They're like, I love the idea of that. And I know I'd love doing it, but I haven't. And that's pretty common, right? Like architecture is like a really good example where people will sign up all the time and there's no experience because when do you get the training in architecture? You know, not every school is offering drafting classes where you can even play around and, you know, you see it, you understand it, you look at buildings, you're impacted by them, you're impressed, you're excited by the thought of it. And that stuff's so important. So, you know, and I'd say, yeah, we teach from that ground up and we teach those foundational skills and we ease people into those majors. A great question. Someone said, can we start an online program and transition on site? That happens all the time and vice versa. People start on site, life happens, they get a job or they relocate and they keep going with their education online. So you could go online to on site at any time. And I always tell students, even if it's a cost thing, as long as you're not, you know, as long as it's not something that's kind of, there's no way around it. I'm married, I have 3 kids. Well, you're probably not ever relocating for a year on campus, but if you're younger, you maybe don't have those same restraints. Well, maybe then you're thinking about, hey, I'll save up these first 3 years and come on campus for my senior year to do some of these more hands-on big group collaborative projects. Someone said, I missed part of the Zoom time difference. I'm in Virginia. Yeah, definitely. That'll do it. Yes, we have a ton of dorms, Daniel, and dorms are available this fall semester. We have students moving in a couple of weeks here, and classes do start for the fall semester September 2nd. So if any of you are considering starting this semester, you're already registered. If you're already registered, we're so excited to have you join us. But if you're considering starting and you just have these questions that you need to ask, I would tell you the best way to work with us is to connect with an admissions representative because we do things a little different at this school. What we really believe is that every student, you should have the chance to meet with someone one-on-one, you, your family, everyone that's a decision maker in this process. We should be able to talk about your goals, talk about the things you actually care about, talk about the way you learn best, and then show you our school, top to bottom, and ultimately cover all the details, not just about the program you're going into, but about what your goals are and if this school really checks your boxes. And if it does, then we're going to talk about financial aid, cost, and resources. And if we decide that this school could be the right fit at that time, we're going to recommend, hey, take that first step and apply. And let's see if we can make this work. But in my experience, that's just so different from how other schools I worked or went to. I never worked at other ones, but other schools I went to is just, hey, you apply and then we'll talk to you. And then, you know, to sign up, they just used to mail stuff in the mail. There was no email really back then either. So someone said you offer scholarships. We do have a wide range of scholarships, of course. And say if you're younger and you're looking at scholarships, start applying now. Build a habit, 1 scholarship a week. Can students only take 1 class at a time? The answer is yes, but I want to throw in a caveat there. You can absolutely take 1 class at a time, but if you're only taking 1 class, you are not financial aid eligible. So you can't use student loans if you're a domestic student, you're planning to use financial aid. You have to at least be enrolled in 6 units to be financial aid eligible as it pertains to student loans. Someone said, do you offer courses to high school students during the fall semester? If you're in high school and you have not yet graduated, we have an amazing pre-college art experience program, and Hector will share that link shortly. Oh, thanks, Justin. He said the people in admissions are amazing. They really took the time to figure me out and help me narrow it down, totally make. And that's the thing, like I tell our team, Hector and I, that's the team we work with. We tell them all the time, like, hey, our job is to give people all the information they need so they can make the decision that's best for them. That's our job, is to facilitate information in a great way. We want you to get excited about the school, but we also want to help you navigate the financial process and what that will look like. And I always tell students, I tell everyone Hector and I work with, I say the idea is that any student that calls, whether they sign up here or not, they should be better after having met you. They should be better informed. They should feel better about their goals and what they care about. They should know more about their goals, because we should be asking you great questions to get to know you as a person, as an artist, and try our best to guide you to the right path so you can make a decision that works for you and your family. Let's see. Can someone take classes as a guest? We don't have any options, Carly, for guest classes, and we don't allow students to audit classes. Our whole thought process is the students that are paying to go here and are already part of the school, those are the ones that are going to utilize our resources and that we're really going to make sure getting that full attention. But we try to, on the admission side, like I said, get to know you, really show you the courses. We have demos like where we can show them during our meetings with students. We could show you some examples of classes. I also do an awesome online education webinar where I demo my own classes. I've taken classes here. I actually earned a social media certification, a 6-class program from here. Oh, and it's Chaz. Yeah, Justin, you got a good one, man. He's a rock star. That's awesome. Someone said, if you are an undergraduate, can you be accepted in the program, or do you have to obtain a diploma or GED prior? You do have to be a high school graduate, so you either have to have graduated from high school through the traditional means where you got the diploma, walked the stage, or you have to have completed a GED program. So if you have any questions about your eligibility, I tell you to contact an admissions representative and we can help you determine that. Lydia, good question. So you said, does the open admissions policy explain the school's low graduation rate? So that data that you're seeing, I'm sure you're looking on Google, and that's going to be a little misleading. So if you scroll down a little further, there's 2 parts. Underneath it says learn more, and it tells you how that information is calculated. And then if you scroll down, it has a more detailed breakdown of our graduation rates based on cohort. So unfortunately, every year Google updates the cohort based on the most recent data, and it's pulling from different areas. So whatever your biggest population was is what Google looks at. So unfortunately, that graduation rate that's showing right now on Google is from a very specific group. It is first-time students that are part-time. So that means somebody that's never been to college before, and now they're taking, less than full-time courses. So I've never been to college before, and I'm enrolling in 6 units. So if you're doing 6 units at a time, you aren't going to be in a good position to graduate in 6 years. And that's something we're really clear with students about, but we have students from all walks of life. So I would say that yes, though, Lydia, open admissions does impact our graduation rate, because we're not weeding out people by saying, oh, you've never done the SATs. Oh, your GPA wasn't good enough. Oh, you don't already have a great portfolio. But the flip side of that argument is, I always tell people, I think it's far more impressive to be able to take anybody and turn them into an industry professional than weed out everyone and only take the 10% that you thought were already the best. That's one of the things I love the most about our school. And ultimately, I just want to say that, I'm a big believer that we would have lost some of our best and brightest alumni if we weeded people out in that way. And I don't think people should have roadblocks to education they want. And I'm just very honest with them. I hope our team always is, where we just say, if you choose this school, you can have amazing resources and success, but it's going to be extremely hard. Please do not think this is the easy choice. You're making the hard one. So Glenn was the original guy. Awesome. Yeah, that's possible. And I appreciate you saying that, Justin. I just think that was such a niche little cohort. Like if you go down and see our full-time grad students, you go down and see our full-time undergrad students. You got to remember too, graduation rates aren't factoring in things like transfer students. That's a lot of successful students we don't get credit for. And, we're not always the first choice for first-time freshmen. So a lot of times students come to us after realizing, hey, I started a psychology program and I really don't like it, or I started a business program and I don't have any idea what I'm even going to do when I graduate. So pretty common. I see we still have 35 people in here. Does anyone have any questions or anything? And then I'm typing my info in again. I know Hector's put in there a couple times, but please feel free to reach out to me by email if you feel like I didn't answer your questions or you feel like I might have missed one along the way. Niusha, yes, we accept Duolingo exams. So that's actually, Duolingo is what we're now using to help students test that are international. So if you've already taken a Duolingo, I would imagine that would work just fine. And Hector actually oversees both domestic and international admissions. Justin, yeah, we're on to the Q&A. So it started at 5 p.m. and we did a whole kind of coverage of the spring show event. This event will be recorded, so we'll probably have it posted on our ArtU chat blogs. And you could also email me, and once the link's posted and available, I could send it to you. But I just tell you, man, jump on there and start checking out the actual spring show. I told everyone the collaborative projects are probably my favorite. And go to your actual department, see what the best of the best students are doing. So one, you get excited. And two, so you know what you're up against and what you should strive for. Yeah, that really happens, everyone. I know the time difference is pretty brutal for these events. So one thing to keep in mind, anybody who's registered for the fall semester, I will be hosting multiple student portal webinars. And what these are is I walk you through your student portal. I walk you through what classes are like, how to get in there, what the expectations are, because I've taken classes. I'm going to show you my classes. I'm going to show you some other coursework from other employees that have taken classes here. And usually people get really pumped and excited, but also they get really, I think you get a lot more confidence seeing how classes work if you're taking any online. And not just that, but seeing the quality of work you can create. So any of you that are registered, make sure you're talking with your admissions representatives and you RSVP for at least one of my upcoming student portal webinars. And for all you East Coasters, I chose a lot of times throughout the day. So I do like a 3 p.m. Pacific Standard, a 4 p.m. I have like only one 6 p.m. because I'm thinking of you guys. I don't want you on the webinar at like 10 p.m., stuff like that. Hector just posted that link in there for upcoming online events. And keep that link bookmarked because honestly, there's some super cool department events that it's awesome. It's like painting with Craig Nelson, sketching with Joku, these really incredible ones. Someone said, is the online student orientation still to be determined? The online orientation, so for the new student online orientation, that's actually a pre-recorded event. So you should still work with your rep and RSVP for it. But once that day comes, you'll get emailed a link. You click on it, it takes you right to that section of the website. You just go through some orientation videos. But for anyone in an online or a Zoom or an on-site class, we have our own individual Launchpad to online learnings, which are really just like online orientation. They show you exactly how to do work. It's awesome, man. I'm always pumped to hear the great feedback, Justin, from both the experience with staff and faculty. And that's one thing we really try hard to do. Try to give everyone that real personalized one-on-one experience. And we want people to really be able to express who they are and who they want to be. And we want to help you take that first step. So I tell you, if any of you out there aren't registered, you haven't applied, you're just dipping your toe in the water, first step, email myself, email Hector, let us set you up with the great representative, just like Justin got to experience. And let's help you define what your goals are and see if this school really does check all of your boxes. And at that point, then we recommend you take the very first step to apply. So yeah, Daniel said, can you register if you're still in high school? You can. You could at least apply, but I would tell you that first thing you should do is connect with a representative, you and your family, kind of go over your options, make sure we have a program that supports your goals and all of those things. I think that's step one for you, Daniel. So please, if you have questions, reach out. But thank you so much for taking the time for us to explore the spring show from 2021 together. The work constantly blows me away. I can't wait to be back on site in 2022 and be able to see this work in person. It literally is one of my favorite times of the year. I've bought pieces from the spring show. Hector has an amazing 3-piece painting from a fine artist that has already appreciated in value because the guy just keeps getting better and better and better. And now his brand's up. It's just like art being a great investment. It's like, what a great job by him, both student and Hector. But it's one of my favorite times of the year, everyone. I know it will be one of yours. So if you're local in 2022, make sure you check us out. And for everyone starting classes with us in the fall semester, we are very excited to have you join us. So thank you everyone for joining tonight. Please email any questions.